Most people believe their life will change when their circumstances change. The truth is, your life only changes when your daily habits change. Today, I want to show you how one focused hour a day can completely transform your future. Let me tell you something. Most people don't want to hear. Your life is not the result of luck. It's not the result of your background. And it's definitely not the result of what you want. Your life is the result of what you do every single day. See, people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade. But here's the secret nobody talks about. 1 hour a day, properly used, can rewrite your entire future. Not 12 hours, not grinding until burnout, just one intentional, focused hour. Why? Because your life is built on habits, not heroic moments. You don't accidentally become successful. You don't accidentally become wealthy. And you definitely don't accidentally become disciplined. You become what you practice. 1 hour a day is small enough that your excuses sound ridiculous, but powerful enough that over time it becomes unstoppable. Most people say they're busy, but busy isn't the same as productive. Scrolling isn't progress. Entertainment isn't elevation. And being tired doesn't mean you're moving forward. One focused hour beats 10 distracted hours every single time. That hour should be invested, not spent. Invested in learning a high-value skill, building your mind, strengthening your body, growing your income, developing your character. Here's the hard truth. Information alone won't change your life. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, attend all the seminars. But if you don't implement, you stay exactly where you are, just more informed. Execution is the separator, and execution requires discipline. People think discipline is punishment. It's not. Discipline is freedom. The discipline to say no to distractions today gives you the freedom to say yes to opportunities tomorrow. The discipline to work when you don't feel like it creates results you always feel like having. And here's where it gets dangerous, in a good way. That 1 hour compounds. Day 1 looks small. Day 10 feels ordinary. Day 100 feels uncomfortable. But day 365, that's a different person. Different mindset, different confidence, different income, different life. Consistency turns ordinary people into extraordinary examples. So don't wait for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. Build a system. Protect your hour. Guard it like your future depends on it, because it does. If you can control 1 hour a day, you can control your direction. And if you can control your direction, you can change your destiny. 1 hour a day will change your entire life. The only question is, what are you going to do with your next hour? Your life today is not an accident. It is not random, and it is not a mystery. It is the visible result of the invisible habits you practice every single day. Where you are financially, mentally, physically, and emotionally is not based on what you intended to do or hoped would happen. It is based on what you consistently did, even when no one was watching. Success and failure are rarely the result of one big decision. They are the outcome of hundreds of small, repeated choices that compound over time. Most people think life changes through dramatic breakthroughs. They wait for motivation, opportunity, or the right moment. But life doesn't move in leaps, it moves in layers. Every habit you repeat is a vote for the type of life you're building. When you choose discipline, you are voting for growth. When you choose comfort, you are voting for stagnation. These votes may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they decide everything. Habits are powerful because they work quietly. You don't feel the DA. Mage of poor habits immediately, and you don't see the rewards of good habits instantly. That delay is why most people stay stuck. They quit healthy habits because they don't see quick results, and they continue destructive habits because the consequences haven't shown up yet. But time never cancels outcomes, it only reveals them. If you examine any successful person's life, you won't find perfection. You'll find consistency, consistent learning, consistent discipline, consistent focus. And if you examine struggle, you won't always find lack of talent or intelligence. You'll find inconsistent effort, unmanaged time, and habits built around distraction instead of direction. Your habits shape your identity. What you repeatedly do tells your mind who you are. When you consistently show up, even when it's uncomfortable, you begin to see yourself as disciplined. When you consistently delay, you begin to see yourself as stuck. Identity follows behavior, not the other way around. You don't walk. to feel like a better version of yourself. Before acting, you act your way into becoming that person. This is why small habits matter more than big goals. Goals give you direction, but habits determine your destination. You don't rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your daily systems. What you do when motivation fades is what defines your future. If someone wants to change their life, they don't need a new year, a new job, or a new environment. They need new daily standards. They need to decide what they will do consistently, regardless of how they feel. Because feelings change, circumstances change, but habits, once established, carry you forward automatically. When you understand this, responsibility becomes power. You stop blaming external factors and start mastering internal behavior. You realize that changing your life doesn't require changing everything at once. It requires changing what you do today, then doing it again tomorrow, and again the day after. That your life is not shaped by what you do occasionally. It is shaped by what you do consistently. Change your habits, and over time, you will change your identity. Change your identity, and eventually you will change your entire life. 1 hour may not sound like much. In a world obsessed with overnight success and massive effort, 60 minutes feels almost insignificant, but that is exactly why it works. 1 hour is small enough that it doesn't intimidate you. It doesn't demand perfection, extreme sacrifice, or a complete overhaul of your life. It simply asks for intention. And intention applied consistently is powerful. Most people never start because they believe change requires dramatic action. They think they need endless free time, unlimited energy, or perfect conditions. 1 hour removes those excuses. No matter how busy your life feels, you can find 1 hour. You may not control everything in your schedule, but you can control a single block of time. That hour becomes, your entry point into transformation. What makes 1 hour so effective is focus. When you know you only have 60 minutes, you stop wasting time. Distractions lose their appeal. You show up with purpose. 1 focused hour can produce more meaningful progress than an entire day filled with interruptions, scrolling, and half-finished tasks. Intensity beats duration when direction is clear. 1 hour is also manageable emotionally. You don't burn out committing to it. You don't resent it. You don't feel overwhelmed by it. Instead, it builds confidence. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, your belief in your own discipline grows. That belief is the foundation of lasting change. Momentum doesn't come from doing everything at once. It comes from proving to yourself that you can be consistent. But make no mistake, this hour is not small in impact. When used intentionally, it compounds. 1 hour spent learning a valuable skill each day becomes hundreds of hours of expertise over a year. 1 hour invested in health reshapes your energy and mindset. 1 hour focused on building something meaningful creates progress that others only talk about. What looks small today becomes massive over time. The power of 1 hour lies in its repetition. Transformation doesn't come from intensity once. It comes from intensity applied daily. That hour becomes a habit. The habit becomes an identity. And the identity changes your choices in every other area of life. You start protecting your time differently. You start thinking long term. You stop waiting for motivation and start operating with discipline. 1 hour also teaches patience. It shifts your focus from immediate results to long-term growth. You stop asking, is this working yet? And start asking, am I showing up consistently? That mindset alone separates those who change their lives from those who stay stuck. Progress becomes inevitable when effort becomes routine. Over time, that single hour begins to influence the rest of your day. Better decisions follow disciplined actions. Confidence grows. Standards rise. You no longer rely on bursts of inspiration, you rely on structure. And structure creates freedom. Freedom from regret, from wasted potential, from the frustration of knowing you could have done more. 1 hour is small enough to start because anyone can commit to it. But it is big enough to transform because when honored daily, it rewires how you think, how you act, and ultimately who you become. Protect that hour, and you are protecting your future. Most people believe that being busy means they are making progress. Their days are full, their schedules are packed, and their energy is constantly being drained. Yet at the end of the day, very little has actually moved forward. Busyness creates the illusion of importance, but productivity creates results. There is a difference. And confusing the two is one of the biggest reasons people feel stuck despite working so hard. Being busy is Ria. It means responding to emails, notifications, messages, and demands as they come. It means letting other people's priorities dictate how your time is spent. Productivity, on the other hand, is intentional. It requires deciding in advance what matters most and directing your energy toward it. Busy people move a lot. Productive people move forward. The modern world rewards motion, not focus. Answering messages quickly feels like progress. Attending meetings feels like work. Switching between tasks feels like efficiency. But constant movement without direction leads nowhere. Multitasking doesn't multiply results, it divides attention. Every time focus is broken, momentum is lost, and deep progress becomes impossible. Most people don't lack time, they lack clarity. When you don't know what truly matters, everything feels urgent. Without clear priorities, you spend your day putting out small fires instead of building something meaningful. You finish the day exhausted, not because you accomplished something significant, but because your energy was scattered across dozens of low-value tasks. Productivity requires courage. It takes courage to say no to distractions, to delay responses, and to protect uninterrupted time. It takes courage to work on important things that don't provide instant feedback or validation. Busy work feels safe because it looks like effort. Focused work feels uncomfortable because it exposes whether progress is actually being made. The most productive people are not the most frantic, they are the most selective. They understand that time is a limited resource and energy is even more limited. Instead of trying to do everything, they choose to do the right things. They measure success by outcomes, not activity. What matters is not how full your day was, but how meaningful your actions were. When productivity becomes the goal, habits change. You start planning before acting. You work in focused blocks instead of constant interruptions. You prioritize tasks that move your life forward rather than tasks that simply keep you occupied. You stop equating exhaustion with effectiveness and start valuing clarity, simplicity, and results. Busyness keeps people trapped in cycles. It makes them feel needed but not fulfilled. Productive work, however, builds confidence. It creates momentum. It produces tangible progress that compounds over time. 1 hour of focused effort can outperform an entire day of scattered activity, not because of effort, but because of intention. If someone wants to change their life, they must stop asking how to stay busy and start asking how to stay effective. Time doesn't reward effort alone, it rewards direction. When focus replaces frenzy, progress replaces frustration. And when productivity becomes the standard, life finally begins to move forward. We live in an age where information is everywhere. Books, videos, podcasts, courses, and advice are available at the touch of a screen. Never in history have people had so much access to knowledge, yet never have so many people felt so stuck. That contradiction exists for one simple reason. Information by itself changes nothing. Knowing what to do is not the same as doing it, and understanding that gap is the turning point for real growth. Information feels productive because it stimulates the mind. It creates the illusion of progress. You feel smarter, more aware, more prepared. But preparation without action is just delay dressed up as intelligence. You can know the right habits, the right strategies, and the right mindset, yet see no change in your life if that knowledge never leaves your head and enters your behavior. Most people collect information the way others collect entertainment. They jump from idea to idea, always searching for the next insight, believing the next piece of knowledge will finally be the breakthrough. But breakthroughs don't come from knowing more. They come from applying what you already know. The problem rarely a lack of information. The problem is a lack of execution. Implementation is uncomfortable. It demands effort, discipline, and responsibility. Once you act on what you know, you can no longer blame ignorance. Results begin to reflect your choices, and that level of accountability scares many people. Information keeps you safe because it doesn't expose you. Implementation forces you to confront reality. Action transforms information into experience, and experience is what creates wisdom. Until knowledge is practiced, it remains theoretical. Reading about confidence does not make you confident. Studying discipline does not make you disciplined. Only repeated action under real conditions creates change. Growth happens when ideas meet resistance and you push through anyway. Implementation also creates clarity. Thinking stays abstract, but action reveals truth. You learn what works, what doesn't, and what needs adjustment. Progress is refined through doing, not thinking. Every Step taken provides feedback, and that feedback is far more valuable than endless planning. Another reason implementation matters is momentum. Information consumes energy, action creates energy. When you execute even imperfectly, you build confidence. You prove to yourself that you are capable of movement. That momentum compounds, making the next action easier than the last. In contrast, constant consumption without execution leads to overwhelm and self-doubt. Those who change their lives understand this principle deeply. They don't wait until they feel ready. They don't wait until they know everything. They start where they are with what they know and improve through repetition. They value progress over perfection and action over appearance. The real transformation begins when you stop asking, what should I learn next? And start asking, what can I apply today? Small actions repeated daily outperform massive ideas never acted upon. Implementation turns potential into progress and intention into results. Information can inspire you, but only implementation can transform you. When you commit to acting on what you already know, everything changes. Your confidence grows, your results compound, and your life begins to reflect not your knowledge, but your discipline. Most people think discipline limits their freedom. They see it as restriction, sacrifice, and control. They believe freedom means doing whatever they want, whenever they want, without rules or structure. But that idea of freedom is an illusion. True freedom is not found in the absence of discipline. It is created by it. Without discipline, life becomes reactive, chaotic, and driven by impulse rather than intention. Discipline is simply the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It is choosing long-term benefit over short-term comfort. Every time you AC with discipline, you are investing in a future version of yourself. Every time you avoid discipline, you are borrowing against your future, often at a high cost. The difference may not be noticeable today, but it becomes undeniable over time. When discipline is missing, options shrink. Financial discipline creates money problems. Health discipline creates physical limitations. Mental discipline creates emotional instability. What begins as comfort eventually becomes constraint. People who avoid discipline often find themselves trapped by circumstances they could have prevented. The very things they once avoided doing become the things they must now deal with. Discipline, on the other hand, expands options. When you are disciplined with your time, you gain control over your schedule. When you are disciplined with your finances, you gain choices instead of stress. When you are disciplined with your health, your body supports your goals instead of limiting them. Discipline removes chaos and replaces it with order, and order creates freedom. One of the greatest benefits of discipline is peace of mind. When you know you are doing what you should be doing, guilt disappears, anxiety lessens, confidence grows, you stop negotiating with yourself and start trusting yourself. That trust is powerful. It allows you to move forward without constant inner conflict. Discipline also protects your focus. In a world full of distractions, discipline is what allows you to say no. No to unnecessary commitments. No to instant gratification. No to things that feel good now but cost you later. Every disciplined decision strengthens your ability to choose intentionally rather than react emotionally. Many people wait for freedom before they act with discipline. They say they will be disciplined once they have more time, more money, or more motivation. But freedom doesn't come first. Discipline does. Discipline builds the structure that freedom lives inside. Without structure, freedom elapses into disorder. The irony is that discipline becomes easier over time. What starts as effort becomes habit. What feels uncomfortable becomes normal. Eventually, discipline no longer feels like sacrifice, it feels like self-respect. You stop seeing discipline as something you have to do and start seeing it as who you are. True freedom is waking up without regret, living without constant stress, and knowing your future is being handled by the actions you take today. That freedom is not accidental, it is earned through discipline. When you embrace discipline, you are not limiting your life, you are unlocking it. The compound effect is one of the most powerful forces shaping human lives, yet it is often ignored because it works quietly. It doesn't announce itself with dramatic change or instant results. Instead, it operates in the background, steadily multiplying the impact of small actions repeated over time. What makes it unstoppable is not intensity, but consistency. Once it is in motion, it continues to build whether you notice it or not. Most people underestimate small actions because they look insignificant in the moment. One workout doesn't transform a body. 1 hour of learning doesn't create mastery. One disciplined decision doesn't change a life. But the compound effect is not about single moments, it is about accumulation. Every small action is a deposit, and over time, those deposits grow into outcomes that appear extraordinary from the outside. The reason the